Well, what is going on, YouTube? Pass the prop back here again. It is Monday Night Football edition. Coming at you guys with some recaps here, week 3. Joined as always by my guy, Stu. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I finally had a really good week in the books, which was good. You know, the first 2 weeks were like fine. They were whatever, a little boring, a little uninteresting. Week 3, that was finally when we cashed a good one for me, especially that late slate. You know, the early one, I think I went 1 and 2. I had my guy Dare, by the way, Cash Agumbawale. Shout out to him. Got that winner in the books. But then I ended up losing both of my ones in the Saints game, right? That Hurts rushing, and then I had Shaheed on the show as well. So that wasn't fun. But late slate, baby, 4-0. We got Bengals money line pending to make that 5-0 on Justice Hill over 1.5 receptions. So I'm feeling good, man. I really like these games. It's a rare Commanders primetime slate. I didn't think I would see that all year. So week 3 is very nice. And yeah, we got 2 good games, a great guest in the house. Super excited to go over the picks today.
Yes, sir. Guest Jacob Wayne joining us today. How you doing, man? How was week 3 treating you so far?
What's up, man? How's it going? Happy to be here. Awesome doubleheader tonight, and actually some good quarterbacks on deck too, which we love to see. I think next week we're going to have one of our Monday Night Football doubleheaders with Will Levis and Skylar Thompson, I think. So excited to watch some actual good quarterbacks tonight. Week 3 pretty good so far. I'm excited to get in some plays here.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that's I watched enough Will Levis this week to never watch him again. Shout out to
I bet the Titans yesterday, man. That was not fun.
Yeah, big shout out to my boys. I think they had 8 sacks. They put up 8 sacks on those guys. We'll talk about it when we talk about our dog picks here, because you know I had to be a homer and take my Packers. But we got 24 of you guys in here in the first couple minutes. Appreciate you guys popping in here. And joining us right away, right at the start of the show. Again, guys, you got any comments, questions, concerns from week 3? Drop them in the comments section. And let's get this recap going, Sue, and we'll get this out of the way before we get into tonight's 2-game slate. Let's get it going here. Let's get the crap out of the way. Let's throw the crap ones out of the way. We have Shaheed, which we talked about. A couple bombs that just hit him in the hand.
Yeah.
I texted you, man. That boy's got brick hands.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those that I'm not going to get mad at. Like, everything that I kind of wanted to happen happened. He just didn't catch those balls, right? It's one of those that, unfortunately, doesn't always work out for you. When you bet on a guy like Shaheed that runs those kind of routes, that's what happened. Also, Eagles dominated time of possession. And then the Saints, when they actually did have the ball, instead of throwing over that terrible secondary, decided to run, 2 separate guys into brick walls. So I don't know. It was kind of, obviously the Eagles defense is bad. I wish the Saints threw the ball a little bit more, but this whole game was kind of just a shit show.
Dude, if it made me feel so good. I remember on show talked about it. Dennis Allen still bottom 3 coach in the NFL. I will stick my neck on the line for that, because that was so bad.
Maybe.
Did you watch Alvin Kamara's first quarter?
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about.
They for 16 yards. What are we doing? Throw the damn ball, dude. Shaheed had 2 of them where he had them beat, and he just dumped it off underneath, trying to get all this up to Kamara. I'm like, as a Kamara fantasy owner, I'm happy. I love him, but my God, dude, and then he started running out of gas, and they kept still running him up the middle, and he had to go out of the game for a couple plays because the dude's just gassed out from having to get every single play and running into 300-pound dudes, running right into Carter. Like, they just ran it up the middle at Carter. Like, this dude literally could kill Kamara. He falls on top of him. Kamara's going out for the year, bro. Like, that was –
yeah. My only critique I'll say is that the Eagles were all over that play action game. So what happened with the Saints is they went from worst in the league to most play action, right? And that's been really good through 2 weeks. Every time they tried to run play action, there was someone in Carr's face. Like, they were not biting on the fakes, even with establishing the run. They were like in his face every time he tried to throw the ball. So I'm kind of curious how they can maybe pivot away from play action going forward and still kind of create some of those big plays, because without play action, Shaheed was kind of cooked. He was like the downfield target on a lot of those, and Carr just had no time to throw. So an ugly game, one I'm sad I had so much money on, but yeah, he did not get the job done here.
I saw a tweet that somebody put out that said Vic Fangio coached that game like he spent every second of the last week hate listening to sports talk radio. And I love that, man. The Eagles defense through 2 weeks was looking like it did last year, and I think that was the first time, since Vic Fangio got in the building, that they looked like the defense I think they can be this year. So that was exciting to see.
Yeah, it's just tough when you don't run, underneath routes. They don't ever run underneath. All they're doing is running 15, 20 yards down the field. I'm like, just run something across these crossing guys. Obviously, my boy Zach Bond from the Wisconsin just cooked those guys because he just kept getting. I think he had like 8 or 9 tackles in that game. I've never heard his name spoken so much in an NFL game before. So obviously he's from like 20 minutes from where I'm from here. I'll get to take my L out of the way here too. I had Kyler passing plus rushing. Ended up closing 271.5 on the day if you wanted to lock it like 30 minutes before the game. So we got good numbers there, but obviously it fell. That third quarter I was saying before the show started, he threw the ball 7 straight times to Marvin Harrison in double coverage. Just went back and just chucked it up to Marvin Harrison. And I think Harrison might have had 15 targets in that game, and none of them were like actually good targets. They were all like 10 yards over his head and running for his life. But Michael Wilson did his thing. He actually looked pretty good. Hopefully Trey McBride is healthy too, because I saw him that looked scary, man. Both those guys were out. And I think Branch, who it was for the Lions, I thought he was like damn near paralyzed. That was literally like what you are taught not to do when you play football. Put your head down and run right into it.
Yeah, this one was just weird, man. This is a weird game. I mean, like I said, I had Kyler rushing solo, which worked out pretty well. And then when we kind of talked about it, what did we say? Like the one thing that could kind of crush this game was just like David Montgomery running the ball for 45 minutes, right? That's like the whole thing I was scared of. It's just like Dan Campbell loves nothing more than establishing the run. Like, I know we've got, Ben Johnson, cool play action, fun, trickery and all that stuff. But this team at the end of the day, throughout the whole Dan Campbell era has been like, let's not have all these crazy plays. Let's run the ball. Let's control the clock. And then once we kind of beat them down, then let's take advantage of that and kind of open things up. So we saw that they took a lead and they did not give it back. They just controlled the clock, and Kyler couldn't get anything going. It was weird. Like I told you, after that first drive, I thought this was going to be a fantastic game. I thought we were going to see the whole thing. We're talking about 30-30, overtime, all that. But after that, they just couldn't get it going on offense. They couldn't take advantage. Obviously, McBride a little bit later getting hurt kind of messes with it as well. But yeah, unfortunate for Kyler in a game he very much should have hit this in.
Yeah, got to pay attention to the offensive line for Arizona moving forward too, because it looks like they might be on their 4th string right tackle this week. So unfortunate situation there.
And we got Deer play in that one too, which obviously crushed. Shout out my boy Jahmyr Gibbs too in fantasy, just coming through, getting that lateral, getting that touchdown there. So that was nice.
Dude, that hook and ladder play was so sick.
Yeah.
It was awesome. They're so fun. Like when they do stuff like that, that's why you're like, oh, I love the NFL. You know what I mean? Like just that's the Madden kind of stuff that makes it to real life. So shout out to that. He got me fantasy points, and I actually had over 15.5 receiving yards live, which for some reason cashed on that play. So that was legendary. I cashed receiving yards without actually getting a catch the whole game. It was just that. So that was nice. And then, we in the Discord hit Montgomery live at 88.5 as well. Like there were a lot of good live betting opportunities in this one. So shout out Montgomery. People hate him every week. Yeah, Gibbs is guy. He's flashy. He can catch passes, but Montgomery's going to do the same exact thing he's done this whole time. So keep on betting him when they're like 3 or more point favorites and you think they're going to win. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and I sent Stu my DFS lineup this week. My best lineup had my boy Bo Nix in there, and goddamn, I was watching that. I was getting nervous he wasn't going to throw a pass in the second half. He had 18 completions in the first half, and I was kind of nervous because they were beating him like bad. Like they were beating that ass bad, dude. I was watching Baker Mayfield out there. It looked like he was lost, and Bo Nix just I think I saw somebody with a tweet called him White Vic is what I saw what it was, because that dude just ran around like crazy. Dude, it was awesome to watch, dude. He just and they only threw it like 4 or 5 yards on the field. He had a couple big plays at the beginning of the game, and then everything else was back to normal. So I know a couple people I saw on Bo Nix as well with me, morely on yards because his yard line was so low. But damn, man, this might be my favorite win of the year because it was just I didn't even have to think about it after the end of the first quarter when he had 12.
Yeah, man. Bo Nix, who knew? I mean, we kind of knew, but beyond that, this game was crazy. We talked about it on the show. We were like, something feels fucking wrong about this game. The way the line's moving, the way all these prices are set, nothing makes sense. This is the Bo Nix surprise game. And it turned out to be the case. The real question is, how do we rate Bo Nix moving forward? Because it's tricky. I still think he's really bad, and I'm not really going to move off of that because of this game. Tampa Bay's defense is so injured and just lackluster to begin with. They're also a team that's really stubborn. That was kind of the things I picked off. They obviously Tampa 2 is kind of known for a reason. They like to sit back a little bit more in those two deep things, but they don't change. Like they don't scheme creatively. They stick with what they do and they do it pretty well. But when you ask them to kind of mix it up and run a couple different coverages, that's when they suck. And like every team should just run man coverage 90% of the time against Bo Nix. Like one just stack the box. Like you need to beat us. You need to beat us. And if you can't, then we're going to win every game. That's what I would do against Bo Nix. But Tampa Bay is not really like that. They're going to play soft. They're going to let you, convert the underneath stuff. And they got destroyed because of it.
Yeah, it was wild to watch Bo Nix just look. It looked like he was back in the Pac-12. Like just running around. It was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really upgrade the Broncos in my power ratings at all from that game.
Oh, no.
That was more about Tampa just being completely overrated after their 2-0 start, I think. And the Bucs can continue to be a team I'm going to try to look to fade. But, yeah, it was definitely exciting to see the Broncos offense get rolling a little bit. And, the first 2 weeks at Seattle and then home against Pittsburgh, two of the worst matchups you could have for a rookie quarterback. So, against the Bucs injured defense, obviously going to be way more room for him to operate. So,
shout out the Bucs for not moving that line, dude. I think he's been sitting at 18 the last 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, give me that again, because they're going to probably be losing most of these games. So, long shots, we went 1-1. My boy Michael Pittman did not get there. He ended up with a quarter of his receptions, though. I think I looked at Anthony Richardson. He had 12 completions.
Yeah,
and he had, I think 5. I think he had 4 or 5 of those completions, and I'm like, my God, dude, I don't get this team, bro. I don't get how, because I had the Bears defense in all my DFS line. I probably had 80% Bears defense for the sheer fact that this dude turns the ball over so much. But the amount of crazy plays he makes, and then the next play is just ass. 50-yard bomb down the sideline off his back foot, money, and then throws a pick. The next play throws a pick on the 3. I'm like, what are we? It doesn't make sense, dude. It is the biggest Jekyll and Hyde I've ever seen, and it's play after play. It's just nuts.
It reminds me so much of Josh Allen's first season when it felt like the same thing. He would have these throws where well, I don't think anybody else in the NFL is making that throw. But then the accuracy issues, the turnover-worthy plays, the consistency is just not there at all right now.
Yeah, and the dumb plays, what are we doing here? Throw the ball away or take a sack or just go down. It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, we kind of talked about it week 1 after their really fun performance. We were like, this is going to be the most high variance team in the league. They're going to live and die on the deep balls. I just kind of thought there'd be a couple more. You know what I mean? They haven't really been able to sustain the running game enough where it's how about you run for 20 minutes, then you take a couple deep balls, and then you try to control clock again. It seems like way more madness than a method to the madness right now. So I don't really know what to do with the Colts going forward. They're a really tough team to bet on. I think maybe just Anthony Richardson, longest completion over, and nothing else. Because who knows? Pittman, Pierce, Downs, A.D. Mitchell, it could legit be 4 guys. I think Granson had a 25-yard catch. Just play the longest reception. Don't think about it or longest completion. Don't think about it anymore and move on. That might be my new strategy.
Yes, sir. Cashing this one too with Lamar. Dude, I had his rushing yards, just straight rushing yards with it was crazy, dude. This dude is I just don't get how they always blow leads. If they're winning, they always blow leads. And it's just our guy Linus in the chat, first thing in there, he's like, how we feel about them Cowboys. That game was wild, man, especially when you're down 21-3 and then turn it up, fall apart again, and then they can't stop the run. That Dallas defense just had so many holes in it. Shout out to you, Stu, for rolling with Jackson here and cashing us in that ticket plus 200.
Yeah, well, we were on the show going, should we play 80 yards or touchdown? And, hey, both of them cashed. I didn't think 80 yards would cash based on that game script, but even Lamar was still running up 20. So it was good to see. Like you said, they almost threw the game away at the end. Obviously, give Brandon Aubrey get him in the Hall of Fame right now. Fucking 65-yard field goals, onside kick, casually. I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he's got the magic beans. That's the new number 1 kicker in the league, clearly. So maybe he's the guy that needs the contract, not Dak Prescott, because holy shit, just let that guy go out there all the time.
Bro, he took Justin Tucker's aura, bro. Justin Tucker he missed 3 kicks already this year, dude. Tucker already missed 3 kicks in 10 years. And now Brandon Aubrey goes to the same stadium, kicks a 65-yarder, Tucker can't make 40. It's crazy, bro.
Not great. Not great at all.
I think this Cowboys team, man, like their defense is just so finesse driven, and like they have a lot of great speed players, but when they face a team like the Ravens who can line up 2-3 tight ends and just smash them out of physical football, like they're not built to defend that. And going to be a defense that will have to fade whenever they're in that kind of spot, which they won't be on Thursday because the Giants don't have that personnel. So.
Yeah, perfectly said, though, honestly. Like, styles make fights, right? Styles make fights. And there's a reason you see a Charlie Kohler, like, 25-yard catch, because they're going, like, 4 tight ends deep on the first possession. Like, we're bringing the guys out. We're bringing those heavy personnel sets out and saying, you know, Micah Parsons can run around our mismatch on the outside all you want, but we're gonna get the ball out first. Once again, shout out my guy, Justice Hill. If they drop 2 catches again, just play that. Like, it's easy money. Justice Hill has, like, a legit role. People just see him from, like, the waiver wire on their fantasy league for the past, like, 8 years, and they go, well, this guy must suck. Like, he's been on my waiver wire for 8 years. Like, he's been in the league for so long. This guy must be terrible, but he's not. He has a real role on this team. He's a good pass catcher, a good pass blocker. Keep betting Justice Hill. That's my message for today.
Beautiful. Also, we end up cashing we didn't put them on the screen for you guys, but we did go 3-0 on our dog picks. Took my Packers +3, got that one. Took the Giants. Stu gave me some shit for that one, but I took the fucking Giants 6.5. They ended up getting there, and I know Stu, I think, pretty much destroyed every bookmaker on the Denver Broncos being why is this set there where it is in that one cash. So three dog picks here. And we're feeling pretty good heading into this Monday night slate. So you ready to get into it, guys?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I don't mean to, bury the lead or anything, but talking about dogs, I don't like any fucking dogs today. So I need one of you guys to convince me to talk me into some dogs. Because, like, the first thing I locked in was, like, the chalkiest money line parlay between these two favorites like a week ago before I even realized it was going to be the most chalk play on the slate. So I would love some dog analysis from one of you guys today. Beautiful.
Well, we'll get right into it. First game of the slate, Jacksonville headed to Buffalo. 5.5. Jacksonville is I'm on DraftKings specifically. Obviously, I'm not really line shopping. I just have DraftKings up on my screen right now. 5.5 over under 46.5 is the total here. Jacob, I'm gonna kick it over to you, my man. If you had to pick a side, if you had to pick an over under or a side on this game at the number that it's at, where are you going? You taking a dog here?
Yeah, I love the Jaguars here, man. This is a team that is unlucky to be 0-2. I think they could very easily be 2-0. The week 1 game they kind of blew against the Dolphins. Travis Etienne goal line fumble, and then the Browns last week went 3 for 3 on 4th down. Jaguars had higher yards per play. I think probably win that game more often than not. Bills, obviously, so far, they had that back and forth game against the Cardinals, and then they blew out the Dolphins. That game was never really on. But I think we're getting a nice buy low spot on Jacksonville here. You look at my guy Nick Giffen from Action Network. He does his luck rankings every week. Bills are 6th in luck ratings right now. Jaguars are 29th, so that makes us a luck ratings game that we want to try to target. I really like the Jags defense coordinator, Ryan Nielsen. Their secondary is pretty banged up right now, which I don't love, but the Bills kind of are too on the back end. Obviously, Matt Milano out, and then Teron Johnson in the slot is out, and I don't think this Bills safety room has really been tested yet. They obviously lost Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. Week 1, Kyler Murray really didn't even try to throw the deep ball. I don't know if that was a schematic thing or like because of the wind or what was going on there, but really weren't tested. And then week 2, we saw Tua was not having a good game even before the injury. So this is the first time where I think they're really going to get tested. Trevor Lawrence leads the NFL in deep throw rate. So I think he's going to try to push the ball downfield here, and we'll see how they hold up on the back end. But the Jaguars have the run defense to hang here, and I think we're getting them at a pretty nice number. Even at +5.5, I still like it.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern, I think, is probably like the Jaguars' defensive side of the ball, right? I mean, obviously, the graphic that was trending was the most man coverage in the league by a decent chunk. And then, obviously, Josh Allen, the #1 PFF rating against man coverage so far this year. A guy that does traditionally kind of kill man. I guess the biggest problem is to kill man coverage, you kind of need your wide receivers to do their job. The quarterback isn't the one getting open. And, like, It's an interesting wide receiver group. Like, I'm not going to be harsh on it. It's young, I guess, with Coleman, the rookie, obviously, and then Shakir is kind of, I would say he's the number one, even if it's not based on snaps, just based on kind of like target share and his like relationship with Allen. He kind of looks like the guy he's clearly looking for. Kincaid is who we expected that to be coming into the season, but wow, has absolutely not been the case so far this year. Dawson Knox still in there doing Dawson Knox things, blocking, getting gritty. We just need a snow game for Dawson Knox to get his first touchdown. Whenever it snows, that's going to be my narrative, Dawson Knox touchdown. But I agree that the Jags have been kind of in a rough spot this year. My problem is just like, they haven't looked good. Like, they really haven't looked that good. Like, that's at the core of the problem, right? Like, I want to see like some like ceiling plays, like not just one or two in the first quarter. Like, I want to see you come out in the second half after teams have made defensive adjustments and do something, because I really feel like I haven't seen that yet. But I do agree, the secondary, especially the safety room, DeMar Hamlin, once again, not a very great player. Great story, not a very great player. Like, Kyler Murray, the game chart in that first game is insane. He barely threw the ball more than 10 yards down the field. Like you said, there was wind stuff. I'm not sure what the case was there, but somebody's going to go deep on this team, and I think this could be the team. I'm just not sure if they can sustain enough on the defensive side of the ball to win this, but asking the Bills to cover by margin, especially this new kind of like run-heavy Bills team, is also not something I want to do.
Well, that's why I like what he talked about there, Jake, talking about that run defense. Because my God, dude, what are they percentage wise on running the ball right now? Like, it's crazy to me. Like, since they've gotten Joe Brady over there, dude, they're running so much. Like, I draft Josh Allen in fantasy, and it's just pretty much off efficiency, dude. It's really off of efficiency. It's not volume, and that's why when you have like a slate like this, it's tough to – you want to play almost like the dogs in this spot in a game where this could get shortened pretty quick with how much they run the football. And I like our boy Coop in here bringing up a question here, because it's tough. All the receivers in this game, it's tough to pick one, right? Because it's just whether it's snap share for any of the Buffalo Bills guys, or it's just everybody looking like shit on the Jaguars, right? And that's just the whole offense kind of looking like crap, right? So it's like, it's tough because there's just not an alpha in this game, like when we talk about game 2 here, where we can obviously talk about Chase there. But this question, I think, is going to lead us a little bit into Jake's pick that he's going to be rolling with us. I'm really excited to hear you break this one down, man. I want to bet on him too this week.
Yeah, I'll answer on the Jag side to answer that question first. I do think Brian Thomas just needs to get more involved in the offense. I think he's been awesome as a deep threat, but it's time to start getting him the ball in not just like go ball situations. Like, I think he's capable of more than that. Christian Kirk in the slot does have a good schematic matchup here. He's been so bad to start the season. So I don't think I can bet on him, but I wouldn't be shocked if he has a bounce back game here. But yeah, my pick for this game on the prop side, Keon Coleman over 17.5 yards for his longest reception in the game. The Jaguars I talked about have a very good run defense. Their secondary is banged up right now, though. They're missing Tyson Campbell, their top corner, and they're running out these two guys, Monteric Brown, who's 6 foot 190, and Ronald Darby, who's 5'11", 193. So you look at Keon Coleman, who I believe is 6'4". He's going to have some advantages in these jump ball situations in man coverage, and I think the Bills are going to just have to pass the ball more here. They've been in the game script, especially last week, where they didn't really have to open up the passing game, but the Jaguars' run defense is going to make that a necessity, I think. Keon Coleman still ran the most routes among Bills receivers last week, had 91% snap share. So he was on the field plenty. I think they threw the ball 19 times. So you're going to see that come up here. He had a 28-yard catch in week 1, and I like his just base yards as a play here too, but the longest reception for me, I think, just get him a deep ball down the sideline, give him a chance to win in contested coverage, and I think he's going to get it done here. So I like the over 17.5 for the longest reception.
I like this play a lot too. It kind of, with what you're saying, it makes a lot of logical sense, right? We know how much man coverage this team uses. They're outside of their best corner now, so Darby's kind of a lifelong solid, number 2 at times, probably better a number 3 corner kind of guy. And then a guy I've legitimately never heard of before standing across from him. Like, Coleman is just a big guy. And like, I didn't know how I felt about Coleman on this team. I've kind of leaned under in both weeks, which would have backfired, I guess, 1 week and then cashed another week. But like just stylistically, the kind of football he plays is really perfect for this. Because if you give this guy a 50-50 ball, like he's a big boy. He'll bring it down. Big bodied wide receiver, like you said, 6'4". He's got some speed too, kind of sneaky, like full package. The big thing is just kind of like he's not really doing much else for you, so it becomes kind of easy to like game plan for him, in my opinion, at least. The real question is just like, is the Jags defense good enough to actually take this away, which I'm not really sure the case is. So I like Coleman a lot. I guess my biggest worry is Shakir just looks like the number one on the team. Like Coleman's routes are great. He just he's almost in the like, not like the wind sprints category, but like you're running all these routes, you're out there a lot, but like you got to earn targets. You got to earn your targets, right? And I mean, this is the matchup to do it in, but that's why I would go longest reception over yards, like with what you were kind of saying. If I like the one big, shot rather than maybe like sustained production over the whole game.
Absolutely, man. And I think that's why I avoided the full yards somewhat, because you still have Dalton Kincaid, you still have Khalil Shakir. Like, he's not going to be a target monster right now. And I mean, Keon Coleman, like, his route running is kind of lacking. It's why I didn't love him as a pick for the Bills. But just in terms of like go ball contested catch situation, I think it works really well. The comment there, like at 18.5, yeah, I would still play at 18.5. I think if he's going to do this, it's going to be like 20 plus pretty comfortably, I think.
And I might have to toss a couple bucks on the FanDuel or 365 30 plus market as well, because I think once again, I think if he's going for 20 plus, I think there's a good chance he's involved in a couple 25 plus air yard targets in this game, which is. What I imagine 30 yards going to be like plus 450, plus 500. I think that's worth a couple bucks as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah, Coleman's a freak, man. He's a freak athlete. Obviously, everybody talking about his combine numbers, getting him moving up the draft boards there, and obviously really good at Florida State as well. So we got 50 of you guys in here live with us. Appreciate you guys popping in. Hit that like button. We appreciate you, Impulse, dropping that in there. Hopefully, you guys can hit that like button. We got to get this to at least 25, guys, before we get out of here on the live show. Let's head to game number 2. We got Stu's Washington Commanders. We gotta get that sweep. We gotta get our hometown sweep here with the Commanders and my Packers getting it done there. Eddie, we will talk about that here in 1 second. We'll get everything in there. I know we're gonna both be kind of talking about this game ad nauseum, but I'm gonna go over to FanDuel for this one. We got the Commanders minus 115 to cover 7.5. They are up to 7.5 now. Over under 46.5. The same over under as the other game. Crazy, the exact same total. Stu, lean here on the line here. 7.5. Both. What are you thinking? I mean, I know it's your team. But you're usually pretty unbiased on this.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say the obvious answer is the Bengals here. Like the obvious, I'll say I said it last Monday or last Wednesday. Like grab the 7 while you can. You've had all week to grab the 7. So if you lose on 7.5, I don't know what to tell you. That's on you. For the show purposes, though, if I had to pick any side, 7.5 is still what I do, just because I don't trust Washington at all. And I think every year there's a couple teams that really are like propped up by advanced stats and the way that they reward, whether it be like success rate or whether specifically for this Washington team, whether like an EPA per play is kind of influenced by like how good Jane Daniels is as a rusher. I think that's really throwing a lot of people off here. And I think that's actually why the number stayed at 7 for so long. I don't think there should be Washington money on this game. I think if this was later in the season, this would be like a 9.5, 10 kind of like we're still too fresh, I think, to get those really disgusting spreads. But I think if we were just a couple weeks later, and I think it would be a little bit more like that. Like, I don't think Washington can stop this team. They're not good at really anything on the defensive side of the ball. Joe Burrow has been obviously praying for a secondary that he can pass on and finally gets one now with T. Higgins back as well. Shout out Yoshi, drafted him in all those leagues. Apparently not good at football. That is the problem with best ball sometimes. You take a lot of people, their opportunity can be good. Well, they actually have to be good at football. That hasn't been the case so far. But getting T. Higgins back there should obviously be a huge boost. The other sneaky thing is kind of tight ends. I think will be good against Washington this year, especially with Jamin Davis like blitzing a lot. They're doing a lot more kind of creative blitz packages with their linebackers and a little bit less in coverage. The problem is they got like 3 linebackers on this team, or 3 tight ends on this team, right? Gesicki, they got all from Michigan. And then who else do they have over there as well? Sample. Isn't Sample still over there? I swear. Drew Sample.
I think he might be out tonight, though.
Oh, okay. Well, I love Drew Sample. That guy's a legend. What a great blocker. He might be out tonight. But the point is there are a lot of weapons on this team. And I just don't see Washington kind of being able to bounce back in a strong enough manner where they can cover this. Everyone's going to tell you that those red zone stats from last week, like, oh, they made it into the red zone so much, they just kicked all those field goals. Like, if I trust Anarumo a lot, I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Like, if you can just limit this team from running, especially with Jane Daniels, you're going to beat them. And once they're down 7-0, 14-0, there's no coming back. Washington's win condition is Brian Robinson, and just Brian Robinson. There's two Brians today. It's really killing me. But we're talking about like 25 carries for Brian Robinson. That's how Washington wins this game, because the Bengals have a bad rush defense. That's really the biggest kind of flaw. So if they can somehow run it all game, that's how Washington wins. I don't think that's the case, though. I think the Bengals just smoke them tonight.
Yeah, I don't think you left anything left for us to say on that. Obviously, you're the Washington guy. I think you probably watch more Commanders football than I really want to. So in these last couple of years with these guys, but thought that breakdown was pretty good. Jake, if you had to pick a side on the total here, well, what's your thoughts here? We got that same total, 46.5 over under, sitting at the same price. Any thoughts on that one? Minus 110 each.
Lean the over. I just don't see a consistent path to Washington getting stops. Their secondary is god awful. The Commanders are probably going to try to shorten the game a little bit and like run the ball a lot. And I do like Brian Robinson, not Brian Thomas, to have success tonight. You look at the Bengals, like already a bad run defense, and then you have Sheldon Rankins and DJ Hill probably out on the defensive line. They lost DJ Reader, blanking on his name for a second, to the Lions over the offseason, who was kind of their critical run defender. So I think the Commanders will be able to run the ball here, but it's not going to be enough to slow down this Bengals offense, I don't think.
Yeah, it'll be enough in the first quarter. Like, if you like Washington, take them in like the first quarter. I took Brian Robinson 10.5 first quarter rush yards. Like, I like that, and I like his full game rush yards too. But yeah, beyond that, I think in the first quarter, people are going to be like, well, what's happening in this game? Washington's keeping it kind of close, and then either Jane Daniels is going to go 3 and out, or he's going to throw his first interception of the season, which we already talked about on Friday, and then it's going to be over after that. Like, it really is. They're not going to be able to dig themselves out of that hole, especially once the defense can just fully focus on stopping the run, because Brian Robinson and Eckler are good, but they're not like that good, especially with the offensive line being pretty rough.
Perfect. All right, let's get to some bets. Stu, I'll take it away first, because, I mean, how can we not have you finish up with your person? I know I want people to guess at who Stu is betting in the chat, please. We got 60 of you guys in here. Someone put a guess on who you think Stu's betting on. I'll give you this whole time while I'm breaking my guy down for you guys to guess, because I don't think anybody's guessing it. I'm going Austin Eckler, 2 receptions, Jamar Chase, 70 receiving yards. This is over on FanDuel. I'm surprised I got this good of a price, especially with Austin Eckler, 2 catches sitting at like minus 400. I bet you this dude, I don't think I've ever seen Eckler 2 receptions ever this low in my entire life. This dude is a machine. He's gotten 7 targets, caught every single one. You look at completed air yards this year. Bottom of the league, Mr. Jane Daniels. Lower than Bo Nix. 2.5. 2.5 completed air yards. Because how many of these are negative, right? How many of these are going to be negative? And that's the thing is, you're trying to not have your franchise quarterback get hurt. Who's the best security blanket ever, dude? This guy's literally going to be sitting there waiting for these plays. He's a great pass blocker, too, which obviously in these games where the game script flips, in that whole second half, I'm hoping that entire halfway through the third quarter, when you're down by 17, you know who's going to be in there? It's Austin Eckler, right? I mean, if you're going to bet it, take that first half Brian Robinson rushing yards, and then let's roll with that second half being all Austin Eckler on those dump offs. I don't think he's going to be highly owned in like two-game DFS lineups, and I'm going to be playing way too much of him because I don't see the Washington stopping him. I know Stu doesn't. I don't think anybody thinks Joe Burrow is going to have any issue here beating Jamar Chase too. Obviously, when you look on the Jamar Chase side, everybody knows all about the issues with contract stuff and all that. If you can't do it here, you can't do it against anybody, right? I mean, this is your spot. And I mean, you look at Jamar Chase. I understand T. Higgins is back, and I know Gesicki's technically their leading receiver, right? Because Gesicki's obviously the man. But and I have way too much Gesicki in best ball, my number 1 owned player. So feeling good so far. But Jamar Chase obviously had to deal with my boy Christian Gonzalez. We talked about him last week. right? When we talked about the Thursday night game, and Christian Gonzalez is a dude, man. That guy is so good. Don't let all those underlying stats fool you. I know, obviously, he gambled on a touchdown on the zone coverage over the top to give up the DK Metcalf tutty, but Chase, who's going to guard him, bro? He's going to be moving in the slot. He's going to go out. He's going to get deep balls. Burrow's been throwing a ton of passes. So I'm ready for it. I think he's going to have a little bit more time today as well than he has in the past to let Chase get down the field. And could you ask for a better matchup for Jamar Chase? If you can't do it now, you ain't here. So sign me up for Jamar Chase. And obviously, I'm way too heavy on Austin Eckler tonight, bro, in everything I'm doing. You're muted there, Stu, I think.
Good call. Good call. That's my bad. I was just too excited. They had to calm me down over here. But no, I like Eckler a lot. It fits the game script so perfectly. They're likely going to be behind. Eckler's been weird these first two games where, I kind of, for the first half, forget he's on the team, and then he just kind of pops up in the second half and just has, a great, 16-yard catch out of nowhere. And then he ends up playing, half of the snaps by the end of the game. It's been really weird. As a big Washington guy, he isn't super noticeable out there. But when he has come in, he's been really good. He does not look like that kind of slower Austin Eckler he looked at times last year. He looks really reformed. And then you just nailed it with Chase. It's one of those games where if Chase doesn't get over, this is really bad. This is, if you're a Chase drafter, owner, whatever, it's really bad because this is the matchup. This is truly the best matchup. For whatever reason, they've been shadowing with St. Juice so far this year. He's not a good corner, but they're moving him around. So Chase is going to get him. I mean, it's a good matchup. It's a fantastic matchup. Washington's secondary is god-awful. You guys don't need to hear me rant about that anymore. We've done that for 2 of our 3 Friday shows already. So love the play. Definitely like the combination. I think it's really safe, especially Chase's numbers only going up for the rest of the day, right? People are only going to be betting that over for logical reasons. So getting that little buy down, getting that little safety, going with someone like Eckler, who we both feel really confident in, definitely like the combo.
I'll throw in one more thing on Jamar Chase because I'm on his over-under receiving yards too. This reminds me a lot of last year when they had that slow start and then Jamar Chase kind of mouthed off to the reporters and he was like, I'm always effing open. And then the next week he had that 15-catch, 192-yard, and 3-touchdown game against the Cardinals, who also have a horrible secondary. I think he's in for one of those tonight. And I think T. Higgins being back actually helps him a little bit, just makes it so they don't have the ability to put all of their defensive focus on him. And it's not like Andre Yosevas on the other side, who Stu doesn't like apparently. So yeah, I love the spot for Jamar Chase tonight.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say too, Chase, what's he playing? 30, 40%, or sorry, not Chase, Higgins, 40% of snaps. There's no way T. Higgins is coming back to 100% of snaps after this whole debacle against this team. He's going to be in there. He's going to get a little involved. He'll be a good distraction. Like you said, they can't too deep safety. They can't super cover him all game. But he's not going to be a real threat to play 100% of snaps or anything.
Perfect. I was impressed. We got a lot of answers in there. We still got 65 of you guys in here live. Nobody got it. Nobody got Stu's guy in here. We had Impulse bring in Commander's kicker. Don't even know who he is. Who's your kicker?
We just signed him last week. I don't remember the guy's name.
He had 7 field goals last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he had 7. He was 7. I know Kid York. Seibert. There we go.
I do remember that just because I had all those bets on Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones and all from my action app, and it just kept sending Seibert field goal, Seibert 30-yard field goal, Seibert 36-yard field goal. It was 7 of them in a row. So we have Zach Ertz, we got Seibert. Got Deami Brown.
Closer. You're getting close.
You're warm. You're close. But close, but no cigar. We got Stu bringing up just absolute, I think, Texans legend, right, Stu, right?
I mean, hey, Noah Brown cashed me some tickets. Those 3 weeks he got to be the wide receiver 1 last season. That was kind of fun. But yeah, we're going Noah Brown over. I think it's 15.5 receiving yards right now. I think I can check again, but pretty sure that's what we're sitting at across the board. Yeah, 15.5 receiving yards. This is a guy that I do like the alt lines on a lot. You can get plus 800 at 50 receiving yards as well. I mean, week 1, he came in, last week was his first week. He did not play in week 1. He was moved over from the Texans this offseason because apparently the Texans have 400 wide receivers and they need to keep them all. Like, I forgot Robert Woods was still on that team. I was like, holy shit. And then Xavier Hutchinson as well. I'm pretty sure they might have cut Mechie, but he was there. Like, how many wide receivers do you guys need? You already have the 3 best in the league. So no Noah Brown. He was one of the better kind of like free agent, like last minute pickups that you can get. Like, I'm not saying he's a great player, but when you look at this Washington wide receiver room, you can understand why it's an immediate upgrade, right? Because so far we've got Terry McLaurin as your wide receiver 1, who's done absolutely nothing so far, but he's had some tough matchups. It's even though the Giants isn't like a bad matchup, they just kind of focused on the run. They got him involved in some screens, but they're having a lot of trouble getting Terry McLaurin the ball. So you'd think logically, there's been someone else that's stepped up, right? There's been someone else that's absolutely balling out. I'm sure Luke McCaffrey has 200 yards by now. Maybe Diami Brown's caught a couple deep bombs. Like, someone has to be taking advantage of this. No, it's Austin Eckler, honestly. Austin Eckler might actually be the guy that's taking advantage of it better than anyone else. So far, we've seen Diami Brown run 70% of snaps in 2 games and come up with 2 catches for 17 yards. And I was actually a little higher on Brown than some people. But the thing about Diami Brown, he runs straight down. You throw him a deep shot. That's all in his NFL repertoire. He can't give you any creative route depth. He's not doing anything special. He's running go routes. Or at least that's what he should be doing. That's the only time he's ever produced in the NFL. So I don't really see any reason why he'd be running 70% wind sprints going forward when Noah Brown came in, was clearly the most impactful wide receiver last week, despite only playing 28% of snaps. He was out there for only 28% of plays. I don't think this is going to be something that immediately jumps to like 100%. Like, it's not one of those situations where it's like, oh, he's won over the room. The only thing that's actually slowing him down from the snaps isn't the competition, isn't the other guys. It's simply just learning the playbook and being more involved in the offense. Like, that is the one thing that's holding him back. But I think when people look at this team, they don't care about this team, so there's no real reason to go super in depth. But like, when the bookmakers are setting these lines, right, like, he's just being priced as like a casual wide receiver 4, one of the few guys that's kind of in the mix, fighting over that 30% of snap share. But for me, I would have a really hard time seeing him not at 50% in this game. If you look at some of the Cliff Kingsbury quotes after, they were very impressive. What I noticed on film as well is that Noah Brown has kind of been respected as a good blocker for a while, and that really showed. In a game where your win condition is running the ball against a really bad team, having him in there for some of those run blocking reps is going to be nice. That's going to open up some little play action stuff that could keep him in the game for as well. Like, I see a lot of micro, like small edges and ways that he can get out on the field more. Honestly, looking at pass blocking and who's really good pass blocking has made me so much money this year. Dare, obviously just a couple days ago, even a guy like Roshan Johnson overtaking a little bit of DeAndre Swift. Like, these backups, if you can just grit your way on the field in the NFL, if you can earn your way snaps, that's how you kind of beat these numbers that are set super low, is because guys are kind of, it's not the sexy fantasy points, right? Like, those runs that led to 15-yard gains don't show up in the fantasy sheets or anything like that. But when a coaching staff is looking at a guy that's only playing 28% of snaps and they see him doing stuff like that consistently, in addition to recording, over 50 yards, in a group of absolute bums making like 4th quarter catches for the team. Like, there's no way this guy isn't playing more. That's the point I'm trying to make right here. Noah Brown was brought in for a reason. They traded Jahan Dotson away because he can't block and he has a bad attitude. They did not want that in their festive bubble screens this year. He was not part of the plans. So they were comfortable moving on from that. Luke McCaffrey is like an okay slot receiver, I guess, that some people really like because he has like a really high average separation score on like 5 reps this year. I think that's another case of just like, you can make the numbers say whatever you'd like. Like McCaffrey, I'm hoping he's a good long-term buy, but right now he's like a 1 or 2 catch guy. Like, he'll be slightly involved. The pecking order is very clearly Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz, the running backs, and then Noah Brown. And I think Noah Brown is going to be a guy that's lined at like 27.5 next week. It's going to be like double this. It's just, he hasn't actually ran enough routes yet, or hasn't actually had enough snaps yet for people to really, one, care about him or, be interested in betting more. But I think anyone that's like really familiar with the Washington room and really familiar with this coaching staff sees that Noah Brown is likely the wide receiver 2 this week If it's not this week, it's in the coming week. So definitely like Noah Brown. He can do a lot of things for you. He obviously cashed this, on 2 separate catches alone last week, ended up with 3 total. He was solid for the Texans as well. Pretty good overall player. Better than Olamide Zaccheaus, better than Luke McCaffrey at this, certain point. Definitely better than Diami Brown. Just think this is a really low number, and I absolutely love the ladders because they're going to be behind. They're going to be trailing. They're likely going to be, in a negative game script. So even if they don't want to throw the ball, they're going to have to a little bit. Love Noah Brown over 15.5 receiving yards.
I just pulled it up too. Last year, Noah Brown, 6.7 yards after the catch per reception, which ranks 6th out of 96 qualified receivers, according to PFF.
Nice.
So really good yak threat too.
Wow.
What book? Just because I have Flam Fam talking, you can't find them on ESPN. D would I would assume be Diami Brown. What book are you on this on for, Stu?
Yeah, do not bet Diami Brown. Absolutely not. When I put it out, it was on all the books, so I don't know what it is on right now. I bet it on Caesar Sportsbook, but it was on 365. It was on DraftKings, so maybe they're taking it down with people betting it right now. But it should be up everywhere.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. I mean, we got 70 of you guys in here, and I'm assuming you guys just went straight to the window because who the hell else is betting Noah Brown in the entire world outside of this show, right?
Well, nobody. That's the other thing.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm on Twitter, reading through every name search of Noah Brown in the last 3 years, and no one's even talking about this guy. What's going on? But yeah, no, absolutely love it. A little bit ugly. Do I like 16.5 or 1.5? That's what I was trying, because I like them all. It's kind of one of those things where I have an edge on receptions, longest receptions, and yards. So I would say I still would go 16.5 first, but if it gets to 18.5 or 19, then I'd probably go to receptions. It was just good seeing his downfield usage last game. But if you've watched any Washington, it's screen city. They run more screens than anyone else in the league. So going with, I didn't know that yak stat, actually. I didn't know that's good sign for the screens to come. But I would be more comfortable with yards than receptions or longest reception even. But I do like receptions as well. I haven't gone over 2 catches.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's go through our recap. We'll recap the show. Obviously, I put the banner on the bottom already so you guys can see down there. But we'll do the recap as we always do here. And then we'll get to some long shots. We got 70 of you guys in here live. Appreciate you. Hit that like button. We're pushing that. I think our highest number in live, was 80. So ever on the show. So we're pushing it. Let's get it there, right? We got 30 likes. Appreciate you guys for popping in here on your Monday afternoon. All right, Stu. I mean, how can I not start you off here talking about your one here? You got to recap.
Oh, yeah. And I actually got an ugly long shot for you guys, too, so don't go. It's not Noah Brown. I like Noah Brown's long shot, but I got another one, too. We're going Noah Brown over 15.5 receiving yards. Like I said, I would play it up to 19.5 as the max. I'm good with anything under that. If it does go over that, then I'd go to longest reception at 11 or 12.5 or receptions at 1.5. But I do have a pretty good edge on all of his numbers today.
Beautiful. We'll kick it over to you, Jake.
Yeah, my pick was Keon Coleman over 17.5 yards for his longest reception. I see this going 20 plus, so I'm fine with 18.5, 19.5, whatever the number ends up being. But yeah, I really like the matchup against the Jags man-heavy defense down their top corner. I think he gets a nice contested catch opportunity at some point in this game to bring down a long one.
Beautiful. I'll be rolling with my boy Austin Eckler and Jamar Chase. Austin Eckler, 2 catches. Jamar Chase, 70 receiving yards over on FanDuel. It's that time, guys. It's that time that everybody comes here for. They come here for those long shots. They come here ready to make some of those crazy parlays. They already have to. Guys are going to throw some crazy ones. And now that they're giving us 2 games on Sunday,
yeah,
crazy stuff we can do here. All right, let's go here, Stu. Who's your long shot? What is your long shot of this 2-game slate here for tonight?
Yeah, before I said, I will say the guy that I really wanted it to be was Gabe Davis. I really wanted it to be Gabe Davis. The Gabe Davis revenge game. I've gotten 8 questions about the Gabe Davis revenge game already this morning. So I sure did want to address that real quick. Gabe Davis has cashed for me already this year. I love Gabe Davis. Stylistically, this is not a good matchup for him. Absolutely not. Jacob nailed it earlier when he was talking about kind of Christian Kirk. He would be the guy. The problem is Christian Kirk has sucked this year, and I'm not even a fan. I don't even think he's that good. So I'm not going to be betting on Christian Kirk. So I did unfortunately not lock in Gabe Davis as the longest one. I do kind of like the idea there, but I'm just not not a big fan. What I went with for my long shot, let's see what the best number is right now. We're going to do a little shorter version to not be crazy on the show. We're going to go Chase Brown, 40 rushing yards at plus 310 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. So not even like a 365. We're getting a readily available plus 310 Chase Brown right here. And I'm climbing the fucking ladder with Chase Brown, guys. I'm climbing because DraftKings has great pricing, right? 60 yards is plus 1,200 on DraftKings versus 70 yards only being 900 on FanDuel. So you're getting way better pricing on DraftKings, although after the show, probably not anymore, thanks to you guys. So get that in as soon as possible. I really think this is the Chase Brown breakout game. And I really think his alt lines are enticing for that same reason. Because if you look at the post-game conference with their offensive coordinator last game, the quotes are kind of crazy. The quotes would make you seem like this is a 50-50 split already. And it's not. It's literally like a 70-30 split, 75-25. Chase Brown has not been super involved. But when they asked the offensive coordinator, he said that one, it was mostly based off of like rushing scheme and like the team that they were going in. And two, saying that their plan every week in and week out is to have a 50-50 split and that, things just happen in the game. So I don't necessarily believe that it's going to be a 50-50 split. Zach Moss is better at a lot of things than Chase Brown is. He's a better pass blocker. He's a more consistent running back in general, while Chase Brown is kind of a swing for the fences kind of guy. Think of like a budget Kenneth Walker, right? A guy that can really give you those huge, deep, long runs, but also we'll get stuffed a couple of times at the line of scrimmage. The reason I like this is Washington's really struggled with explosive runs. Even when Rachaad White led this team to only 31 rushing yards on 15 carries, he still did have an explosive run of 15 yards in that game, which is shocking. I don't even remember him having a 15-yard run this season. But against Washington, he did manage to do that. Bucky Irving as well had a couple 15-yard runs in a very explosive kind of matchup. And then last week, Devin Singletary looked like 4 years ago, Devin Singletary, when people thought he might be like the Bills stud in the preseason. So it's one of those things where like the Washington defense is really bad. The game script is going to be so good for this. Like last week, if you remember, there were a couple really sharp guys that actually hit Chase Brown last minute. It was a pretty smart, sharp community pick because there was some really positive beat reporter buzz. What happened in that game is Zach Moss was kind of the guy that they needed to lean on because it was so competitive. They needed his pass blocking. They needed his overall skill set. But in that game, he recorded 2.9 yards per carry. Well, Chase Brown came in 6 yards per carry, 31 yards and only a couple carries. Like he's made the most of his opportunities so far. He's looked good in a limited sample size. I think it's one of those opportunities where now they're going to be ahead. It's what we saw in week 1 with Bucky Irving. Like Rachaad White, he's in for the competitive snaps. No, now we're up 2 touchdowns. Let's let the young guy get some shots. And all they've been talking about is letting the young guy get some shots. So I love the ladder. I think once they're up a little bit, they're going to run heavy. And I think Chase Brown's going to be a sneaky beneficiary today.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. I'm a Chase Brown guy. I know we were close to cashing huge last year on him. I cashed pretty big on him last year towards the end of the season. Obviously when he was rolling behind Joe Mixon. So feeling pretty good about that one. Love Chase Brown. All right, Jake, you're up, man. What you rolling with today for your long shot?
All right, well, there was a little bit of hatred towards Gabe Davis there, but there is a long shot on Gabe Davis that I like here. If you go on DraftKings, you can run these kind of uncorrelated parlays. So I'm looking at Gabe Davis under 3.5 receptions and 50-plus receiving yards. So they're giving you plus 650 odds on that. And I don't see this being a game where Gabe Davis is a high target earner at all. I think it's actually probably a bad matchup for him because he also has some really good outside corners. But we're just asking him here to break one long play, basically, and getting plus 650 odds on that when they're saying that's uncorrelated. But I actually think it's fairly correlated because we're looking at him like 2 catches, 57 yards. Like I think that's well within the range of outcomes. Talked about it earlier with the Bills safety room still being pretty untested. So I think he can have a deep shot here. He'll have the opportunity for it because Trevor Lawrence has been really airing it out. He leads the NFL in deep throw rate. So I think this is some good value on this kind of uncorrelated parlay here.
I like these a lot. These are a lot of fun to play. Shaheed cashed me. He's like the king of these for me, in my opinion. But I actually did play Gabe Davis uncorrelated week 1 as well. So I'm fully with this line of thinking. For people that aren't familiar, like these sports books are going to punish you for correlating things. So if you're betting a quarterback over and you're betting his wide receiver over, they're not going to give you a good payout for that because they know like what you're doing. In this case, you're kind of taking advantage of the sports books anti-correlation measures by taking an under on a guy and then an over on the same guy based on their skill set. And like Gabe Davis has been a guy that's like been top 5 in ADOT his whole career. Like he's a downfield weapon. So if you expect Gabe Davis to have a good game, it's not going to be like Stephon Diggs yesterday where he goes like 10 for 100, averaging like 10 yards a catch. Gabe Davis is going to get there on like 3 for 100 and 2 touchdowns. It's how it's always been. It's how he wins. So with these kind of bets, you're taking advantage of how a player wins versus how just the general sportsbook algorithm is going to grade like correlation. So I know we haven't actually explained that before in the show, so I figured this would be a good opportunity. But I think Gabe Davis is like the perfect guy for that, just because he gives you those deep threats. He gives you that down the field option. Well, we know like the Christian Kirks, the Stranges, those kind of ETNs will be kind of like the check down options. So I like it. Like you said, a lot of cover 2 in this matchup. I think they'll be trying to avoid those explosive plays, but it just takes one for Gabe Davis. Yeah. And who doesn't love a Gabe Davis revenge game? You got to have something. So I'm with you.
Got a comment there from Troy. It actually, he's saying it's in move to plus 750. So even better. I just built it up plus 650. So look around. Like you can get very, very different odds on these in different books. So make sure you're getting the best number there.
All right. And it was 50 yards, right? It was 50 receiving yards. I didn't type that wrong, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I got to put this up there so it has the right odds on there so you can you got to smile here so we can, we take a screenshot when this hits. So now it's up on the screen there. So now we're all good. Got that up there, ready to go. And Stu knows this. I don't like not having the longest long shot, because I just like going crazy on some of these. So I'm going to be lame. I'm going Eckler 40 and 50. I'll probably play. I can't believe I'm getting 820, bro. I'm getting 820 on 50 receiving yards. This dude did it last week. This dude literally did this last week. And we saw Jane Daniels throw for 220 yards in that game, right? My biggest issue was there's been one game where they've been in that trail mode, right? They've been in that zone where they've had to throw the ball a lot. In that game, Jane Daniels ran the ball 18 times because he was just running for his life on Tampa Bay, right? He was just, I don't want to check it down. Didn't really have to check it down in college either, right? I mean, you have freaking Neighbors and you have Brian Thomas. Those are your 2 guys you get to throw to in college. So there was no check downs. It was just close my eyes and chuck it up there. And I know these guys are coming down with it. Now in the NFL, you don't have a great offensive line. You got to get that ball out quick. And what I really like about Eckler in this spot is he's right now 4th in yards after contact on his reception so far this year. And he's only played 2 games, right? He's behind, I think Stu's probably favorite running back of all time, Alexander Madison, is actually number 1 in this category right now, which I knew Stu would just love to hear that he's number 1 in this category right now. It was probably just one play. He broke 1 tackle and then obviously gets skewed like crazy. But through 2 games, we see Austin Eckler up on the top of that list. I think you're going to see him have to throw the ball significantly more in this game. But like I said, 18 attempts in that one game that they were behind. So obviously I think that number is going up. And if we start to see Jane Daniels complete, I'm looking at his number right now, 18.5 completions. We see him get 18.5 completions. I think a lot of those are going to be those dump offs so he doesn't get hit, right? I think after week 1, we came on the show, we're freaking out. This dude's taking so many hits, does not know how to slide feet first, and he just dives head first. He's going to get smoked. So just 160, 180 pounds, bro. Dump that ball off. Austin Eckler's a bowling ball, bro. This guy will do everything he can for you. He looks so much healthier, dude. I know he's not getting a ton of reps like he did when he was out in L.A. Towards the end, but you can tell he was hurt last year. He looks a lot more explosive. I'm assuming a couple big plays here coming from Austin Eckler. And guess what? Garbage yards, still cash, boys. Garbage yards, still cash. Even if they're down 21, Eckler's out there. They're not running Robinson out there at that time. Give me that, baby. Let's go. I'm ready for those garbage yards coming at us here. And even if they 3 or 4 catches on that last drive when you're down 28, still counts.
Just thinking about it now, this could be the most profitable garbage time in past the prop history, with like on one side Eckler and Noah Brown catching passes, and on the other Chase Brown like just running out the clock with no more Moss. Like this could actually be like such an elite, like long shot little setting right here. And then honestly, I'm so happy we got that Gabe Davis anti-correlation one too, because I'm definitely running that. I've been getting asked all day about playing Gabe Davis. I'm like, I just don't love the matchup, but like that's the perfect way to play it because you don't need to like the matchup. You need one big play. So, and I might do that with your guy Kean Coleman as well as another like deep threat and kind of limited volume guy. So very happy with the long shots. It's kind of rare we get 3 long shots that I think are pretty fire, but I definitely like all these spots. Because the one thing I wanted to add on Eckler is that Eckler, I normally like receptions over yards for running backs, like easily, almost 90% of the time. The key is when a running back is running like routes out of the slot. And like Eckler is legit getting like slot snaps. He's getting like motion plays. He's getting like creative usage, not like dump downs. He'll get a couple of dump downs, but it's actually some good creative like wide receiver usage. So I like the Eckler spot. He should be in store for plenty of garbage time.
Hey, this is a game where you don't actually watch the start. You go watch the other game, watch the beginning of that one. This one starts later. You can watch the whole Bills game. Turn that on. It's midway through the fourth quarter, and this game's they're already down 28. So now it's just all right. This is our time. This is what we came here for. Is this garbage time? So it's actually perfect because we're going to be able to watch that whole entire Buffalo game because it starts earlier. We're going to get like 45 minutes of this one. It's the whole fourth quarter when they're down already. So it's looking pretty good. So feeling pretty good about these ones. I think we're good. Hour. That's an hour. Damn, it did not feel like an hour. We still got 65 of you guys in here with us an hour later. We appreciate you guys. Saw you guys over 30 likes already on the live show. You guys came out. You guys showed out. Shout out to the NFL for giving us these 2 games, right? They gave us 2 games on this Monday. Stu, I'll kick it over to you. Got anything else for the people before we head out? And we get the check where we can catch Jacob at.
Yeah, no, even before I go, you got to go follow Jacob. I told him 35 minutes, and we're at an hour. That's my fault. It's normally my fault. This tends to happen a lot. This was double 35 minutes. So at that alone, you got to go follow the guy. That is my bad right there. My apologies. But, I mean, I should have known. A Commanders primetime game where there's another game. Like, of course we were just going to just yap for like an hour. So definitely do that. If you did like any of my plays, make sure you're going and following over on Twitter. I post every single one of them in the 4for4 Discord first. You can get a $10 first month with code Monotone, or you can get 25% off the full rest of the year if you're riding me for the season. If I made you some money yesterday, and yeah, lock that in with code Tone. So make sure to go check out 4for4. A lot of smart guys over there. I have 3 plays for tonight. Noah Brown is probably my favorite, but actually, it's my second favorite, the number 1 move. So you guys missed out on the line move. That's my apology. Someone guessed it in the chat earlier, but that wasn't the right one for today. But I love the spots we got out there. I think we got a great card. Looking forward to getting back on here on Wednesday and celebrating the sweep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jacob, we appreciate you popping on here with us. Tell everybody here where they can find you. We already have your X Twitter account in the description of this video, so you guys can click that. Go check them out over on Twitter. Where else can people find you and find your content?
Yeah, Wayne _ sports on Twitter. And I'm doing content for Action Network right now. I got the Passer Play article every week over there where I break down every single game, and then doing a lot of player prop content on X as well. So go give me a follow. You can follow me in the Action app as well at Wayne _ bets. Beautiful, beautiful. I'll be popping over, following you over there. I try to post a few of them, all my Pass the Prop ones over there on Action as well. Follow over on Twitter. You guys know where to find us. I know, dude, that's literally how I feel on all these shows, bro. It's a fast hour almost every time. Just doesn't feel like it. When you're down in the weeds with us, man, when you're digging down there, it goes by so fast, man. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, make sure you go follow Jacob over there on X and Action. Be ready to roll here. We won't talk MLB. It's an NFL show. You know I'll talk MLB until my head falls off, but we're good. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys on Wednesday for another round of Pass the Prop.